Hey there, I'm Sneha and you are watching my channel Book Junction. Welcome to today's video. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about some of my favorite self-help books, and I took my sweet little time to make this video because I was reading some new self-help books and I wanted to make a really up-to-date video, and here we are. Now in this video, I will not review these books. Instead, I will tell you the reason why I love these books. Also, the link of all of these books will be given in the description box, so you can add these books to your cart or to your wish list for your future purchases. And now without any further ado, let's get started. But before that, if you like what you see so far, then definitely consider subscribing. It will mean a lot to me. Alright, so the first book that I want to talk about is The Miracles of Mindfulness. Now there are some books that have this inherent calmness and peace, and this was one such book. Now the thing is, in our life, like in the 21st century, we have so many distractions and we have so many things that are constantly stimulating our mind. And that's why it's very important to practice mindfulness, and that's why mindfulness as a concept is becoming very common and mainstream these days, and rightfully so. Now if you don't know what mindfulness is, then let me just quickly tell you that mindfulness is basically being present in the present moment. That's basically mindfulness in a nutshell. So this book taught me one of the most important lessons of my life, and that's why this book is my favorite. So the thing is, when we are doing something, we are not really present in that moment, and we are usually thinking about the next thing that we have to do. So for example, if you are washing utensils, then maybe you are thinking about making tea next. And when you are making the tea, you are thinking about the book that you will read with your tea. And when you are reading the book, you are thinking about the Netflix show that you have to watch. And when you are watching a Netflix show, you are thinking about all the work that you have to do. And in this, you just don't live any of this. You don't enjoy any of the things that you are doing, and you're constantly thinking about the next thing that you have to do. So this doesn't make sense, and that's why mindfulness is important, so that whatever you are doing right now, you are completely focused and you are completely mindful, so that you enjoy all of it. My next favorite is The Power of Now, and I finished this book just a few days back and I loved it. I reread this book again because it was so good. Now this book is also on the line of mindfulness because it talks about the power of now, that is the power of your present. So the main focus point of this book is that all we have is our present moment. This is the moment when you can do whatever you want, and when it comes to past and future, they don't really exist, you know, and that is such an important lesson. Now when I'm saying this to you, it may come across as very simple, but when you will read the book, you will actually understand how intense this is and how powerful this entire concept is, and that's why I think you should read the book. Also, this book taught me a lot about how our mind works, and it is also a very spiritual book. So I have read a bunch of spiritual books, but I haven't liked many of them, and this one in particular is my favorite book in even like the spiritual genre, because it's very practical and it talks about everything in a way that it does not include superstitions and too much religious stuff. That makes this book so good, and overall I am a fan of this book. And once you understand how your mind works, you can sort of control how you react to things and how things affect every other thing in your life. So when I read this book, I really understood why I was doing some things, and it helped me a lot. My next favorite self-help book is 5 AM Club by Robin Sharma, and the first thing that I want to say about this book is that it's not just about waking up at 5 AM. In fact, waking up at 5 AM is like the secondary lesson. The primary lesson is to believe that you are born to do great things, and that mediocrity is not something that you have to stick by. You can believe that you can do heroic things and that you can be a great personality. Until and unless you believe that you are born to do all the things that people are doing around you, you will keep doing those things. But the moment you believe that no, I am born in this world to do something different, to be great and to be different and to do something that really connects with my soul, that's when the flip happens and you can actually do all of those things. So this book taught me to believe in myself, and I read this book at a time in my life when I really needed that kind of encouragement. And the part which talks about waking up at 5 a.m. is basically about disciplining yourself. So if you want to be great, if you want to bring greatness, then of course you have to nourish that greatness. How will you become great if you don't do anything great? You have to prove it to yourself that you are great, and for that you have to work towards your goals. And that's why he says that when you wake up at 5 a.m. it's like the golden hour, and that's when your mind is like super fresh and all of that. So when you start your day with like exercising, journaling and reading, your day starts at a very good point. Now I know even I don't wake up at 5 a.m. I am not an early riser, but the main point is to focus on your goals and to work towards it and to have some kind of discipline. And if waking up at 5 a.m. is like something that you can do, then definitely do it. But if you can't do it, at least bring some kind of discipline. Just be consistent at what you are doing, and I think you will be good to go. So yes, this book really helped me to be consistent and to persevere for my goals and dreams, and that's why this is one of my favorites. My next favorite is Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Now if you follow me on Instagram, you would know that I am a huge fan of Ryan Holiday. I have read 4 books by him, and it was pretty difficult for me to not include all of those books in this list. So I just picked up the one that I just can't get enough of, and Ego is the Enemy has to be one of the best self-help books I have read ever. Like, yes, it's my favorite, and all of the books that I mentioned in this book, in this video, are my favorites, but this is like gold. The title of the book makes it very obvious that the book is all about how ego is our enemy and how it ruins our life. Now the thing is, when it comes to ego, we think that ego means being arrogant or showing attitude or being a snob, but the thing is, ego is a much bigger term. It is much more important and serious, and all of us have ego. Like, all of us have ego, because ego is basically this sense of self, and all of us have a sense of self. Like, what do you think about yourself? You have an image of yourself. That image is your ego. That's the most simple way I can explain ego to you. So whatever image you hold of yourself is your ego. So the thing is, different people hold different views about you. They have a very different image of you. That's why different people think differently about you. Some hate you, some love you, and just in the same way, you also have an image of yourself, and that is your ego. So sometimes some people victimize themselves. They think that they are very weak, and they think that bad things keep happening to them, and they have bad luck. They just don't feel good about themselves. That's also ego. Whereas there are some people who think they are the best and that they have so much arrogance, and that's of course ego. So all of this is ego, and ego really destroys all of us. So in this book, Ryan Holiday has shared like different stories of different personalities, from Kennedy to different like players, baseball players, golf players, and celebrities who are in entertainment business. So he uses those stories to tell you that how ego of different kinds destroy people. So this book really helped me a lot, and when I read it, I realized that yes, there were some things that I was doing and it was really destroying me. So it helped me to sort of get done with those things, and right now I try to like control my ego, because you cannot get rid of your ego. You will always have a sense of self. You will always have an image of yourself, but you can always control it. So sometimes when your ego tells you something, because ego is very vulnerable and it's always insecure, so it keeps telling you things that are not real, but you feel them really intensely. So it's very important that you take care of your mind and you just take the control and try to calm the voice of the ego. So if you want to do that, you should read this book. This book helped me a lot to control my ego. My next favorite is Digital Minimalism, and first I want to talk a little bit about Social Dilemma. It's a documentary on Netflix. I think a lot of you must have watched it. It was all about how social media and social media marketing is using human beings as tools, and how they influence every little thing in our lives. and it was very intense and scary. But I think when I watched that, I really liked it, and it was really helpful and useful and informative. But when I finished watching it, it was not very impactful, and I didn't feel the urge to quit social media instantly. So that happened. But when I read Digital Minimalism, in fact when I was halfway through it, I was so inspired to like leave social media and just try to be minimal when it comes to my phone and technology in general. Now of course I'm still on social media, both on Facebook and Instagram, but I don't use WhatsApp, by the way, which is not really a social media platform. It's more like a chatting platform whatsoever. So yes, I'm still on social media, but my consumption levels have really decreased a lot. Like comparatively, I don't use Facebook that much. I check it once or twice in a day and share sometimes some stuff, and it's the same for Instagram. I don't really follow a lot of pages. I follow very few pages and my friends basically, and I use Instagram to talk to my friends. So that's why my consumption of social media has decreased a lot after reading Digital Minimalism. And the reason is that this book presents in front of you facts and important statistics. So when you read all of that, you are just so inspired to leave this place and just be minimal in your life, and you understand how much time and how much energy social media and technology and just scientific advancements are taking away. And yes, all of these are for our comfort, but when the control is out of our hand, so when the remote control goes into the hand of technology and we are being controlled, then it is scary. And the thing with Cal Newport, the author of Digital Minimalism, is that he is very straightforward, and in his life he has accomplished a lot, and that too in a very young age. And he is very productive in his life, and he does not use social media. So it comes from a person who is absolutely away from all of these things, and he can tell us that how he is away from all of these things and how these things actually impact other people's life, because he's seeing what happens to other people. So yes, Digital Minimalism overall helped me a lot to reduce my social media consumption, and that's why it's definitely one of my favorites. My next favorite book is Good Vibes, Good Life by Vex King, and I have an entire video on this book, so you can watch that as well. I will give the link in the description. But I basically love this book because of its teachings and lessons on self-love. Now I know self-love has become like very mainstream and everyone is talking about self-love, but self-love is actually, of course, very simple, but again it's quite difficult to understand for a lot of people, because sometimes we think that self-love is just indulging in a lot of luxury, in a lot of materialistic things, but that's really not self-love. Self-love is like accepting yourself the way you are, encouraging yourself to do good things, believe in yourself, and of course when it's needed to also be strict with yourself and to discipline yourself. So overall, self-love is a very warm and a very inclusive term that is very important for us, and this book taught me self-love in the most kind manner possible. Trust me, when you will read this book, you will understand how kind this book is, and the lessons are just so relatable and you can actually practice them. It's not preachy at all. That's the best part of this book. Also, this book is like, it tells you about how you can raise your own vibration. It talks about gratitude and how overall when you accept yourself, your life becomes better, because when you believe in yourself, you attract good things. So that's a great thing, and that's basically why I love this book. And lastly, I want to talk about the book Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty, and I reviewed this book recently and I love this book, and it has become one of my favorites. Why? Because it's like an all-rounder book. It has everything. It talks about relationships, it talks about friendship, it talks about career. So it basically addresses everything that a human being will go through in their life, and I feel like it's also a very simple book. So after reading a bunch of self-help books, when I read this book, it felt like this was a summary of everything, and it was like a pocket dictionary. You understand what I mean, right? So that helped me a lot to again go through everything that I have learned from different books, because this book talks about everything, but of course it does not go much deep in detail. So this book was amazing and I loved it, and I recommend this book to especially to beginners, because the language, the way it's written, everything is so easy to understand. And I will make sure that when I give the list of all the books in the description box, I write in the bracket if it's beginner friendly or not, because that way it will be really easy for you. Alright guys, so that was all for today's video. I really hope that you all found this video useful and enjoyed it as well. If you did, then definitely like, share and subscribe to my channel. I'm also on Instagram by the name book_junction, and you can follow me there for more content, and I'll see you in my next video. Until then, bye bye.